Initially when I recorded this video, I was talking in the video footage, so if that is off-putting, I'm so sorry. Just background noise and things like that was just too much. You couldn't really understand what I was saying, so here we go. Firstly, I'm going to be using my Tea Tree and Witch Hazel exfoliating pads. This is a really nice, gentle exfoliating pad. Tea Tree and Witch Hazel are great for spot-prone and oily skins, and it's just going to help ready the skin for makeup. So next I'm going to be using my Nivea Light Day Moisturising Cream just to moisturise the face. This is for combination skin. It's not the greatest, but it's all I had to hand. I'm now going to prime my eyelids, and I'm going to be using the Urban Decay Primer Potion in the original. This is a really fantastic eye primer. It's really going to make your eyeshadow last all day. The only thing I would say with this is that it's transparent. So if you do have any sort of discoloration on the eyelids, or veins that you want to cover up, it's not going to cover that. So I would just go in with some concealer over the top and then powder. For powder, I'm just going to be using the Mercier Translucent powder. I'm using a big fluffy brush just to set that one in place. For eyeshadow, I'm going to be using the Kat Von D Metal Matte palette. If you haven't used this palette, you are missing out. It is absolutely fantastic. I cannot rave about it enough. The first colour that I'm going to use is Suede, so this is going to be my transition colour. I'm placing this in the crease and I'm just blending it from side to side and a little bit on the outer corner. I'm placing this down because it's just going to help blend the darker colours that we're going to use later. So clearly here I've decided to move the camera a little bit closer so you can actually see what we're going to be doing. So the next colour we're going to go in, I'm just showing you the brush. I'm just using a fluffy brush. Clearly struggling on how to show you. This is just a Morphe G17 brush, just a slightly smaller blender brush that we were using before. We're now going to use Fringe, which is a sort of soft salmony pink colour, and we're just going to go over the top of that Suede colour. Just taking that Fringe colour and just placing that on the outer corner to really build that intensity, because the next colour that we're going to go into is a really dark grey green called Stone. It's absolutely beautiful, and this is going to be the main colour that I'm using on the outer corner. So I've also changed my brush here as well. I'm using the Real Techniques base shadow brush. This is just a smaller, fluffier brush because I really want to be precise with the placement of this darker colour, because if I go too high up it's just going to look like I've been punched in the face, and that's not the look that we're going for today. I'm building the pigment up of this colour because, as I say, it is a dark colour and I really don't want to be putting this in the wrong place. In hindsight, for a better pigmentation, I probably should have used a shader brush, so a flat brush to pack that on and then use this brush to blend it out. But I really didn't want to ruin, the transition shades that we put in before. So I was using this fluffier brush. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You can use a fluffier brush, as you can see. That does work for me. It just takes a little bit longer with packing the colour on and then blending that out. So I went ahead and did one eye off camera, so I knew exactly what I was going to be doing. The look that we've gone for is a half cut crease with glitter. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be using my Too Faced glitter glue to carve out the crease. So I'm just using a flat brush just to pack on that glitter glue. I actually have hooded eyelids, so I have to go a little bit above my actual crease in order for you to see the look. Now for me, I don't like to go too above my actual crease because I just feel it looks ridiculous and it doesn't suit me. But do whatever feels comfortable for you. So next I'll be taking my Sephora flat brush. I can't remember the name of it, I'm afraid, so you just have to bear with me. Any flat brush will do. You do have to be quite quick here because you don't want your glitter glue to dry, so I'm just taking that glitter and just packing that on where the glitter glue is. So I'm just going back in with my Real Techniques brush and that stone colour just to even out the pigment and blend the two together. It is glitter, so it's not going to blend the best, but you know, just work with it and just pat it on and do it in small motions and that will blend and it will look fantastic. So I went ahead off camera and did my mascara. I was using the Kiko Extra Sculpt mascara. I am just explaining here about primer. I have been using the B6 complexion primer from Urban Decay, but it is a spray and I didn't want to ruin my eye makeup. I do tend to use primer on all of my clients just because it is an extra step that is going to help your makeup last longer. So the foundation that I'm going to be using is the YSL All Hours foundation. Just a little insert here about foundation. Foundation is expensive, especially high-end foundation, and you don't want to be stuck with a foundation that doesn't suit your skin type, is the wrong colour, feels cakey. You know, here in the UK, we don't have a returns policy for used makeup, so always go and get a sample. I went to the YSL counter, got shade matched, and was given this little bottle. This little bottle has lasted forever. I mean, I've probably used this 5 to 10 times and there's still foundation in here. So I would really, really recommend going and getting a sample to see if you like it, if it suits you, if it works for you. So this foundation comes with a little spatula. This is just a sample. I don't believe the full size comes with this spatula. So this is my own personal one, so I'm just putting this straight onto my face. And then I'm going to be using a Morphe M439 brush just to buff this in. A little trick, if your foundation doesn't match you exactly, always put a little bit on your ears. This is going to sound ridiculous, but obviously you want your ears to match your face, especially if you have your hair up. So always just blend a little bit on your ears and you will look wonderful. Once that's blended, I'm just going to be using my Maybelline Eraser Eye Concealer just to cover up my dark circles, and then I'll be taking a beauty blender just to buff that in. I like to put my concealer right in the inner corners of my eyes because that is where I am the darkest. So this is just going to help brighten and lift the under eye. With this concealer, I'm just going to squeeze a little bit out onto the back of my hand because I do have a couple of blemishes that I want to cover up. And I don't want to be using the sponge directly on these because this is a sponge that I can't clean because it's part of the product. So I just want to make sure it's nice and sanitary. I'm just going to set my under eyes and the rest of my face with my Mercier Translucent powder. For all of my oily skinned friends out there, this is a really fantastic powder and I can't recommend it enough. For bronzer, I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury Film Start Bronze and Glow palette. This is such a beautiful palette. I've used this 1,000 times already. I'm just going to be using it to give a little bit of life back to my skin because at the moment we're looking a little bit flat. So I'm just going to give a little bit of colour, a lovely sun-kissed look, and just it's going to be adding just a little bit of shape and dimension to the face as well. As you can see, I'm only bronzing where the sun would naturally give me that sun-kissed glow. I'm not trying to drastically change my face shape. So next up is my highlighter, and I'm going to be using the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Skinfrost in Eclipse with my Morphe M510 brush. For me, I only put my highlighter on the tops of my cheekbones just to add that little bit of glow. I know some people like to put it on, you know, the tips of their nose, their cupid's bow, on their forehead, but for me, I've got quite oily skin, so throughout the day my skin is naturally going to become more radiant and more glowy looking, so I want to control where I put my highlighter. So one of the last things I like to do is my eyebrows. I have a very strange way of doing my makeup, I know. So I'm just using the H&M Brow Specialist just to fill in where I have some sparser areas. And then I'm just using the spoolie on the bottom of that brush just to blend them out. So one of the last steps that I did was I added a MAC lipstick in D for Dangerous. You can also add a little bit of setting spray just to help your makeup last a little bit longer. So this is the finished look. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this. Should you wish to book a makeup lesson or have your makeup done by me, please do not hesitate to contact me. My Facebook page is at Katy Hill Makeup Artist. I really hope that you enjoyed watching, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.